So I'm tired of having to pull my clocks out of the stand to look at the front and my stand. Some of the clocks barely fit in my stand. So I want to make it to where this part here swivels. So what I did was, and I hardly ever measure anything, I just guess at what I want. I cut an extra board here, and that board is going to go connect right here on top. And that's all this is just a board that I got screwed to my breakfast stand. And so I'm going to drill a hole in this and then add a bolt with two nuts. That way I can lock the nuts. That way I can turn this section. So I got my clamp on so I can drill a hole. So let me do that. Get my hole drilled, and you want to select a bolt that doesn't extend too far past the wood. Like this right here is too long of a bolt, and this will drop. So I got this bolt, and adding washers and the two lock nuts at the bottom. You want the washers because over time the bolt will go through the hole. So let me put that on. And before I put that on, because I'm not going to unscrew this board to the from my breakfast bar, I'm going to go ahead and screw this new board to that board, and then I add the bolt after I'm done with that. And because this thing is long, and as you can see it's not quite level, I'm going to add a brace here and on the other side to make it level. Because prior to me redoing this, I've always had to put a pair of pliers or shim underneath the clock so it's level front to back. So with me adding a brace, and if you put a heavy clock on, you want a brace on that thing anyway, because you never know, it could just fall off. Now, I didn't want to go too crazy with the braces, and I want to be able to put a clock on this thing. So I got a long brace on that side and a short brace on that side, and it's now level. With the two nuts, you lock the nuts to each other. In other words, you turn this one clockwise and you turn the top one counterclockwise. That way they lock into place. And so now I can rotate this stand, and that way I don't have to take the clock in and out all the time. I need to add some washers here. I'm gonna have people that are gonna want for me to give them the dimensions of this thing. The new board that I put on is 19 inches long. This board right here that is attached to my breakfast bar is 48 inches. Now these boards right here are the most important boards. There are clocks out there that the roof line is 2 feet long. This clock, these boards are 20 inches. So for the clocks that are 2 feet long and roof line, it will not fit on this stand. If I had one of those clocks, I would make a longer stand. But I did work on one of those clocks at my friend's house. Regular 72 movement in. But this right here this board right here, you got to have the slot in it. And the reason why you put that slot in it, you put this stuff in, is so you can adjust the arms and tighten those wing nuts up. This right here you want at an angle. I think that's a 45-degree angle. And then these are just 3/4 inch plywood. And they are 5 inches long on both sides. And that is what grabs the roof. Now, before you put a clock in a stand like this, you want to make sure that the roof is nice and secured, because if it's not, guess what? Your clock is going to come crashing to the ground. Now, you do not have to make your stand like this. And again, I got it now so it swivels. These are just door hinges that you put on the 2x4s that are for the roof. That way it hinges. I'm gonna show you a stand that I have in my work area that I have mounted to my desk. Again, I rarely pull out a tape measure when I'm making stuff. You know, I'll cut the arms the same, but as far as everything else, I just guess at it. And I'm going to redo this stand so it swivels. So I'm going to add a longer board here. But the longer board, this is the walkway that I have to get to my bed, 2 feet. And if I add a longer board, it narrows down my walkway. But this is these boards, and they were just boards that I had laying around the house. I mounted the stand to those boards, and I got this thing clamped. That way it's portable. I can put it at another table. But the same situation applies. These slide back and forth when it's loose, and it's hard for me to do this stuff with one hand. That way you can spread the attachments and add a clock. Now these boards I didn't make long enough. They're only 14 inches long, and I didn't make this thing tall enough because I'm scooting down to look at stuff. But you know, it is what it is. It works. So scrap lumber, they sell these things on eBay, and that's how I got this idea. But the ones from eBay look like they hang from the ceiling, and I didn't want to. If you have a garage with exposed rafters, it'd be perfect. But I don't have a garage, and I don't have exposed rafters, so that's why I make the stand the way I made it. And it works. Now this is my George Cool cuckoo quail clock. Late 1800s, early 1900s. And I'm going to get people that disagree with me on that. Let me get a digital caliper. The plates are a little over 4 millimeters thick. From my experience, out of all the clocks that I have in my house, 3 millimeters and greater was made before the 1900s. Now, George Cool did not make any clock. He bought and sold clocks and not just cuckoo clocks. They would go to Germany, go to his friends, associates, whatever, and they would disassemble the clocks because a disassembled clock shipped costs less in taxes than a assembled clock. And then when they got to Chicago, Illinois, because that's where they were based out of, they would stamp their names, trademark on the plates, and GK and the Christmas tree was assigned to them in January 1909. And so it's my opinion that this clock was made before 1900. So anyway, what I was getting at, you put your bubble level in, and because maybe I don't have these legs right or whatever, I'm still going to have to put shims in there to make it straight from front to rear. And I'll worry about that later. But left to right, you make it level, and then you tighten up these butterfly nuts. And that way it's going to stay level on you. Because you want it to be level when you hang it on the wall. And I'm going to have to cut this down or tilt this at an angle like I did a while ago to see the front, or you can see the front here. I'm going to have to cut these down so I can spin it. But anyway, now because I got my floor stable, my floor still isn't, I don't have the laminated flooring on it yet. Me and my son this past weekend, he came over and we put the final boards on. The place I was going to buy laminated flooring in my area, they closed shop. They have a shop in Poplar Bluff, but it's $17 a case versus if you go to like Home Depot, it's like $40 a case. And I have 160 square plus 2 boxes that I need to get. So I'll get back to it, but I always want to make my stand. And so this is a clock that Steve Fowler carved the topper for me. I printed up an ad from eBay. I take that back. I didn't print it up. My local newspaper printed it up. They printed it up to scale, and then I gave that ad to him so he could use it. It was missing this section here. It was missing part of the section here. It was missing these up here. It was missing the finials at the bottom. It was missing a lot of stuff. And I think he did a great job. I got plastic hands on it right now. Maybe eventually I'll get bone hands. But I think he did a great job at carving that stuff up and making the wood match. He did a better job than what I would have done. That's for damn sure. You could contact Steve Fowler. I've got YouTube videos where I'm interviewing Steve Fowler. You can contact him on Facebook. You can get in my groups. Collections, antique and vintage of all sorts, but mainly wind-up clocks. And I'm also the admin for Cuckoo Clocks and all things Black Forest UK. But you can get in those groups and find Steve Fowler. You can find him on Facebook. But anyway, my stand is doing what I want it to do. So now I can adjust my clocks that I need to adjust. Please leave me some comments. Let me know what you think. And again, the roof line on this clock is only 10 inches, 10 1/4 inches long. If it was a 2 feet long roof line, that clock would not fit in this stand because these, again, are only, what I'd say, 19 inches, 20 inches, something like that. 21 inches. They need to be at least 2 feet long to fit the bigger clocks. My Alexander Bleak cuckoo clock fit in this stand. However, I couldn't rotate the hands because the clock was too close to the board up here, and that's why I made the top board longer. That way I can work on the clocks as I see fit. Leave me some comments. Give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to not only my channel, but to all the other channels that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. And may God bless each and every one of you. This is December the 25th. I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas, and I hope everybody has a blessed 2025. May you get everything that you need out of life to make you happy. Not everything that you want, but everything that you need. Again, may God bless each and every one of you. So my GK Cuckoo Quail Clock here, I never did finish it. I still got temporary hooks and links on it. So I was making some antique hooks and links. I got them bent. I made 3 each. 3 hooks and 3 washers that are the antique style. And I had them, I was working on my last once, and I had them clamped in these hemosets, using the blowtorch to get them to the cherry red, when one of these things came off. So I started searching for it. And my daughter bought me this battery operated, well, it's rechargeable cutter. These freaking blades are sharp. And I went to move this thing, and it came apart. So I picked up the blade. I wasn't being that careful, and I cut my finger. And my brand new floor, I got blood spots all over it. So 100 years from now, if this house is still standing, people could do a DNA test and find out that I own this house at one time. And using blue tape and paper towels, I doctored my finger. Of course, after I cleaned it. And by the way, I pulled out the stove, I pulled out the trash can, I moved some of that stuff around, and I swept this part of the floor, and I have not found that last ring yet, so I'm going to have to make another one. I had these laying around. This is what original antique one looked like. It either looked like this or they used just a circle. And then these are what the weights hang on. Different styles. So I wanted this kind for the washers. The chain hang up here. This be dangling. That way you pull on it. And this is heat treated. It flexes back and forth. This is non-heat treated. There's no flex in it. Well, there is, but there's not. So what I did was taking a pair of pliers, bending that's the handle, and then going away from the handle, and then I grabbed this screwdriver because it's the diameter that I want. Trying to do this injured now. And then just snipping it off. Now I have to heat treat this. And I might have to heat treat what I just got through heat treating again, because I don't want them to, I don't want the weights to pull them apart. And I forgot to mention, these are heat treated, and this is not heat treated. You see the difference? The heat treated makes them look older.